Now, the world of woodworking has many parts in it. There's the woodworking we've been doing, which is using boards and planks and sawn lumber to create pieces of furniture and fittings for houses and moldings and all that. But there's an entirely different world of woodworking that we're going to be part of now. And it's called green woodworking. What it basically means is you don't start with a board, you don't start with a plank, you don't go to the lumber yard or the mill and buy your wood. You go talk to the guy who cuts your firewood and you get a piece of log of whatever species you need, and then you take that log when it's green and split it and shave it and form different shapes to make a different kind of woodworking. Now, everything you see here is basically made that way. Everything here started out like this. This just happens to be a piece of oak that was split from a short section of log, and I shaved it down with a draw knife. You can still see the rough facets on it. It's not a finished piece of wood. It's a little bit crooked, it's a little bit twisty, but it has one marvelous characteristic. Because it's split out of a log, the grain in this piece of wood runs the whole length from end to end. In a board, you might get the grain running out in a short distance. Because the grain runs the whole distance, this is a tremendously strong and even flexible piece of wood. Ideal for making certain things. For instance, this is actually a reject from the last time I made a chair. I have a little rocking chair here. One that sat out on the deck here for a whole year, and it really needs to be cleaned up. But the backs, well, you can see, it's a refinement of this kind of piece. The backs, the legs, the spindles, everything was split from a log and shaved down with a draw knife and cleaned up. Even the back splats, they started out split from a piece of wood, put in a form and dried. Well, you can still see the little bits of, they've never been shaved up and cleaned up, they've just been split and bent, and they can be used in a chair. That means you can make them thin, and they're amazingly strong. Likewise, these stools. This higher stool, again, it's oak, stained dark color. The pieces are split. Pieces shaved out with spoke shaves, draw knives, and scrapers, and drawn to a taper. Mortise and tenon together, and a seat put on the top. This low stool is a different wood. It's made out of maple. Now, the pieces of maple for the frame, they actually came from my firewood pile. Went through and I thought, oh, that's a nice piece of wood. Split it up, and voila, a nice stool. Now, sometimes you can get into bigger projects. A number of years ago, I made this, a set of shafts for a one-horse sleigh. And that's one piece of wood. I cut the log, split a log, I think it was 9 feet long, or a little better. I split it, shaved it, steam bent it, put it together. You can't do that with sawn lumber, because it's all one length split from a log and then bent. It's tremendously strong. So we're going to get into some of that kind of woodworking, and it's an entirely different kind of woodworking. Very often people will do either the cabinet making, joinery kind of woodworking, or this kind of woodworking. Not many are crazy enough to try to do both, but I'm trusting that you're at least as crazy as I am, so I think we'll have some fun. Now here's some projects we're going to do. I really hope we get it done before next winter, because, well, it's springtime now, but this old sled, it needs to be completely rebuilt. Parts of it can be made from sawn lumber, but look at these. These will be shaved out and steam bent for maximum strength and lightness. The same with this old sled. It needed a, well, pretty sorry, isn't it? But you know, if you're willing, and if you're patient, something like this can be brought back from the dead. And you'll have something to be proud of, something to enjoy. So let's get back to the shop and start splitting and shaving.